Chapter 1. Whispers in the Dust. The desert does not forgive secrets. It swallows them whole, burying them beneath layers of time and sand. But some whispers refuse to be silenced. They linger in the dry air, carried on the wind like the scent of spice and sweat from a passing caravan. This is the story of those who dared to speak them. The year was 187 BC, and the Silk Road was not yet a road. It was a dream, a network of dusty trails and whispered promises. The Han dynasty had just begun its rise, and the Parthian Empire stood as a formidable gatekeeper between east and west. Gold, silk, and knowledge flowed like rivers, but not all of it traveled openly. Some things were too valuable to be seen. In the shadow of a crumbling watchtower, a man named Kel adjusted the weight of his cloak. The fabric was rough-dyed, a dull brown to blend with the earth, but beneath it, hidden in the folds, lay a fortune. Not in quints, those were too heavy, too obvious. No, this wealth was in silk, rolled tight and wrapped in old leather to keep the desert's thirst at bay. A single bowl could buy a man's freedom, or his death. Kel was no merchant. He was a courier, one of the unseen hands that kept the Silk Road alive. His job was simple: deliver the silk to a contact in the next oasis, a man known only as the Fox. The Fox would then pass it to another and another until it reached its final destination somewhere in the distant lands of the Romans, where silk was worth its weight in gold. But the desert had other plans. A gust of wind stirred the dust, and with it came the sound of hoofbeats. Too many for a single traveler. Kel's fingers tightened around the hidden pouch. Bandits, or worse, imperial tax collectors. The Han dynasty was hungry for revenue, and the Parthians were no better. Either way, a man carrying silk without the proper permits was a dead man. He ducked behind a cluster of boulders, his breath shallow. The hoofbeats grew louder, then faded. A false alarm, or was it the desert played tricks on the mind? Kel waited until the sun dipped low before moving again. The oasis was still hours away, and the night would bring its own danger: scorpions, snakes, and the ever-present threat of thirst. But he had no choice. The silk had to move. As he walked, the wind carried voices to him. Not bandits this time, but merchants, their laughter rough and tired. They spoke of a new route, one that bypassed the usual checkpoints. A dangerous gamble, but one that could mean the difference between life and death for a man like Kel. He considered joining them. Safety in numbers, after all. But the Fox had been clear. No witnesses. The silk was too valuable to risk exposure. By the time Kel reached the oasis, the moon was high. The Fox was waiting, as always, in the shadows near the water's edge. His face was hidden beneath a hood, but his eyes gleamed in the dim light. "You're late," the Fox said, his voice a low rasp. Kel didn't answer. He simply handed over the bundle. The Fox waited in his hands, then nodded. "Good. The next drop is in 3 days. Same place." Kel hesitated. The route's changing. The merchants say tours, a new path. The Fox head tilted slightly. "And if the tax collectors find out, they'll tighten the noose." The Fox chuckled, a dry, humorless sound. "Then we'll slip through it. That's what we do." Kel left the oasis with the weight of the Fox words on his mind. The Silk Road was a living thing, shifting and changing like the sands themselves. But one thing never changed: the need for men like him, men who could move unseen, who could carry secrets without a sound. As he walked, the wind carried the faint sound of camel bells in the distance. Another caravan, another journey. The desert was full of stories, but only a few were ever told. And Kel's was just beginning.